We are in the Ways and Means Committee room. This is the Ways and Means Committee, and we are working on H 955. It is April 10th at 1:25. I'm sorry for the longer break than I had originally described. Hope everyone did get lunch in the middle of all that. Yes?
You saw me.
Good. I did see you. You got some lunch. Good.
That's it.
Peanut butter cups count as lunch. Especially on a Friday. So we have some final edits that John will take us through, and then we'll ideally vote so that the appropriations committee can begin their work on this. Would you like to share your screen, John Gray?
Sure would. I am John Gray with the Office of Legislative Counsel. And we are in section 27B. These are Beth's sections. And we're going to be at the very end of this section. This is your school transportation grants report from the AOE due at the end of this year. What we're looking at is the report shall include recommendations regarding, we have at the very bottom of page 24, I believe this is the update, how to ensure a student who attends a CTE center other than the assigned regional CTE center, either enrollment constraints, program availability, or some other barrier, has access to transportation to the same extent as it's attending assigned CTE center, and the costs associated with any such recommendations.
Thanks.
Nice. Next, we can go to page 92. And it's something you can't see. No, sorry for me to notice these because they're not there. But there used to be a final paragraph starting on line 8. And there were issues with, this was the paragraph that stated estimated ongoing annual supplemental district spending of a particular figure. And based on some of the assumptions that would go into that, assuming level debt service payments each year, that has been struck. And the last piece I have.
Yeah, sorry, Representative.
The one thing I want to say about this, I agree with striking, but I do want to say that moving forward, I did at one point understand that it might help district if they had even payments over the course of the bond. So I would just like to have us take testimony, have whoever's on this, take testimony, how that would work. Because then you could have something like this.
I think so much more work will need to be done on school construction next year. I think that's going to be this committee, whoever is in it, understanding a lot more about how bonding works is going to be a very important piece of that testimony, including the idea of how payments happen. Thank you.
There's a third and final change, and it relates to the Ed Fund Advisory Committee membership. That section itself begins on page 96. And as we talked about earlier today, the membership is restricted. You have your set of 6 members with expertise in ed financing appointed by the speaker, the committee on committees, and the governor. And the new piece that you have added on page 97, lines 7 through 9, 1 representative from the Vermont School Boards Association with expertise in ed financing selected by the executive director of the Vermont School Boards Association.
Thank you.
To membership. And that is it.
Thank you, John Gray.
Draft 4.2. 12 p.m. today.
Can you remove that highlighting, please? Not right now, but
I can send a clean.
So, Madam Chair, I would move that we find version 4.2 favorable of the amendment before the committee. Favorable.
of what?
H 955. Sorry, I'm just amendment 4.2 to H 955 favorable.
Thank you. Representative Kimball moves that we find H 955 favorable. Can I have a second? Representative Odie.
Just moving.
Thank you. What?
She's asking me to second.
Can you second? You can't second.
I'm not going to second.
Okay. We're good. Thank you, Representative Higley. Any discussion? Representative Maslin.
No trouble. Several provisions of the bill, as you may
Can you
understand.
use a slightly louder voice, please, sir?
I'm still
Thank you.
troubled by several provisions and where we come out. Didn't you struggle?
I think I said this yesterday, but I do want to say again, doing multi-year work in a biannual legislature that is 5 months a year is very, very hard. And I think it takes a lot of faith, and a lot of work in between to know that we are moving pieces of things forward. And that more will have to be done in the future and not knowing what that is. And it's very uncomfortable. And doing this very complex work across committees is also very uncomfortable because we can't own and see the whole picture and we can't own and see all the testimony. The House Education Committee took a great deal of testimony about how we sort of, the language as it came to us. And I think we've wrapped around that as best we could to find a path forward that should lower costs for districts and provide more educational opportunities and stabilize and even lower homestead property taxes. But it's a multi-year process and we're gonna have a lot more to do next year. And I think it's gonna keep on being hard. And we each have these very small districts that have very specific needs. Yeah.
I appreciate that it's a multi-year process, and I also appreciate how far the bill has come from beginning of the session, both in concept and in word, and I look forward, being here to participate in, be a part of the next steps, because clearly we're not done. This is not by a long shot. This is a multi-year process. So some primary constituents certainly want me to vote no. I'm gonna vote yes on the prospect that we can continue to move forward and get stuff done. I might not be here next year for just that reason. And we'll see where we end up. But it's the momentum in progress and distance that we have traveled. That is the motivating factor, knowing very well it's not done. There's a lot of imperfections. And then in some constituents a lot of people in Windsor Orange too are gonna be upset in any event and upset the extent of faith.
Yeah, Representative Hope.
Even yesterday, trying really hard to feel like I could support the conversation like I did last year. And yesterday is actually the day that made it possible for me to support it, in part because I had now seen us pass Act 173 and failed in Act 127, which is serious errors that are still not being addressed. We are dropping mental health on school districts. We have not addressed any of the major drivers of cost. And I'm worried that we're now replacing 2 formulas before we finish implementing them with another formula, which also feels very undeveloped. And I just really worry about our school districts. I found some of the comments actually very disrespectful of how we manage very complex systems in a very unstable time. And what we're asking people to do is take a huge leap of confidence, despite the fact that we have obvious inability to implement and are not demonstrably willing to try to work to address errors where they exist. And that just makes it super hard to take that leap of faith right now. These are other people's children, and I feel like the duty of care for other people's children is very, very high. I also feel there are things we need to address some of the flaws that would bring relief to some of the places. Real concerns about whether their kids are getting fair chance for them.
Let's see if anyone else wants to. Yeah, Representative Burkhardt.
My concerns haven't changed since yesterday regarding the potential implementation of foundation formula with no governance change. I am deeply uncomfortable, with that and a couple of other aspects in this bill. I feel like I've done as much as I can to make it as palatable as I can. And I'm comforted by the fact that we got our year back to continue the work in a way that hopefully will bring about a good result. That's all I have to say.
Well, I'm excited about the work that we've done on tax policy here. It's nothing's perfect, but tax policy, regional assessment districts, tax classifications, all that work we've done, new school construction, trying to provide some kind of program that we've just not been able to stand up. Those are very, very important steps, and that's why I'm so happy to support it.
Thank you. Representative Mazel?
Yeah, and I would add to, many ways to compliment Rebecca, what Representative Holcomb said. The fact that we're ending up with seasons instead of, forced mergers gives me hopes that it's going to be the seasons or assessors that are going to go forward with the cost drivers because they have the capability to do that, I think. Whereas I find forced mergers it'd be a long time before they get around to that, tell you the truth. Cost drivers are driving us all crazy. We know that.
I think the various perspectives on how districts come together, on how soon we implement the foundation formula, on what is included in the foundation formula is well represented around this table, and we're going to keep on wrestling with it. And I know that everyone in this committee cares so deeply about the kids in their district and cares so deeply about the taxpayers in their district and the overall community that is created by a really strong education system and a really fair tax system. So I'm grateful for all the work we've all done to get here, as hard as it's been and as hard as it will be. So the clerk could please call the roll.
Representative Brannigan?
No.
I'll vote yes as Representative Burkhart. Representative Higley?
No.
Representative Holcomb?
No.
Representative Kimball?
Yes.
Representative Maslin?
Yep.
Representative Odie?
Yes.
Representative Page?
No.
Representative Wazazak?
Yes.
Representative Canfield?
No.
Representative Kornheiser?
Yes.
We have voted the bill favorable as amended by our committee. It's 6-5-0.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Can we take a separate vote on the bill itself?
Oh, gosh, thanks.
Yes.
Good
That was
call.
just the amendment.
Oh, no, we're only doing, how does that work when you just have instances of amendment?
It's the amendment then.
Oh.
Okay, thank you. And a motion on the bill?
Yes, Madam Chair, I would find that as a committee, we find H 955 favorable
As amended.
as amended.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Representative Higley seconded, Representative Kimball firsted. Sorry to say it backwards, Representative Burkhart, and if the clerk could please call the roll.
Representative Brannigan?
No.
Vote yes as Representative Burkhart. Representative Higley?
No.
Representative Holcomb? No. Representative Kimball?
Yes.
Representative Maslin?
Yep.
Representative Odie? Representative Page?
No.
Representative Wazazak?
Yes.
Representative Canfield?
No.
Representative Kornheiser?
Yes.
So now we have voted the bill favorable as amended, 6-5-0.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for that procedural help and hope everyone has a really restful weekend. See you on Tuesday when we might talk about something else. Thanks.